Ladies and gentlemen, you have to bear me for about 7, 8 minutes in spite of the wonderful panel we have in front of me. There is going to be, we have some rounds of questions which we would like to ask. I would like to ask this panelist. And in the first round, if it's okay with you, I would go to ThyssenKrupp, Germany. Rajkumar Jha. Question which I have for you, sir, is that Europe is focused on sustainability, deforestation, and carbon credits. How Thyssen or you as a company and you feel that these three can be played a part in Indian economy, knowing that Germany is perhaps far, far ahead of us in terms of these three crucial areas: sustainability, deforestation, and carbon credit. Raj, over to you.
Thank you. I think it is very pertinent topic what you have asking. If you see, because your introductory message is very clear that how the EU and India trading partnership is growing by every passing year, and it is reach somewhere where it is more like indispensable. Growth is very phenomenal, but we already knowing that the sustainability, deforestation, and carbon credit topic, it is something where we, as Indian, we as I can say business leaders also needs a lot of things to do. But if you see that what's the changes is coming, and definitely it start with the sustainability topic. It is everybody knowing that CBAM is one, which is came in. It is a lot of talk is going in our industry circuit when I'm meeting personally with all industry leaders, and when we talk that what is the impact on of CBAM, and then we see that it looks that it's asking a massive compliance from our all Indian exporters. But question is that are we prepared for that? And who's affecting overall? So if you see, because I love to speak in figures, because considering my background, and around 9.91% of India's total export to EU is covering under CBAM. And majority of product, if you see, it is aluminum, it is 26% of total export. And then if you see steel, it's around 28% of total export. It's covering. But who's covering there and what's their preparation? That's also important to understand the impact of our Indian economy. Because if you see that cluster, it is more or less, it is all, I can say, top industries, which is going to come under the CBAM. And they are very solvent to address this problem. Not problem, I can say this opportunity, in fact. And Indian government also taken a lot of steps, in collaboration with EU, commissions, and our SEBI also is taken our sustainability report, as we are reporting, also is this very much phrase aligned with that all the reporting requirement which is coming in Europe, whether it is GRI, and if it is SASB, all like reporting format, it is very much is aligned. So the addressing point is already started, that how we can do. If we see that where the matter of concern is matter of concern coming in the SMEs, because they are the part of value chain of all large industries, and the technology and the finance, reach of technology and reach of finance, it is very limited to them. So these are the, I can say, industries where they will feel more stress, and that has to be addressed properly. And collaboration is already, I can say, it is going on in all level. We all know, all I can say here, industry representatives are aware that it can be run through the dialogue and proactive measure what we are taking. If you consider the deforestation or regulation also, where majorly it is covering around 1 billion, okay, total export to EU, and already we have in India like a very audit standard. Okay, it is very good to understand, which is applicable to all the timber, okay, supplies and promotion council, handicraft, also taking very good initiatives with all the exporters. Okay, so it's I can say addressal process is already started. Initially, it looks that economy may face some impact, okay, till because 1st January 2026 onwards, the CBAM is now going to be effective, and carbon tax to be levied for each and every export. But first, we would like to see whether we are in process or not for the addressal. And I would say that in coming couple of years, you will find that at this point it is addressed well. And sitting in the, I can say, last 20 years in the industry, initially when we look the any particular topic, it looks like it is very heavy, but we have the habit to reach the milestone in very staggered manner. So I think it is my opinion for this topic. Over to you, Rob.
Great to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, you must have heard Raj saying CBAM. CBAM means Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which essentially means that an export from India to Europe, the European Union will say if there is carbon getting generated in the product, they are going to levy higher import duty. Good to hear Raj is saying India is adjusting to that. It's going to happen in 2026, 2027. So it's about 2 years away. Raj, this is what it is. And you are quite hopeful that Indian manufacturers will be able to price their product accordingly or maybe reduce the carbon footprint so that we are able to export well. I would like to come back to you on this, of course. I think it's a very important issue as to how India is going to face the so-called non-tariff import barrier, if I may say so. Mansi, over to you. HSBC Bank, who does not know HSBC Bank, the world's most global bank and locally available everywhere. Mansi, you are a global bank working in India. How do you manage it?
No, I think thanks for that question, firstly, because both are our strength. So one is, of course, global, which is kind of the network that we bring here, and local because we've been in the country for 160 plus years. So we have deep roots. We've seen cycles. We've seen, obviously the world wars, and we've been through all of that, through this time here. Um, for us in India, right now, if I kind of see the relevance of India to HSBC, um, I would think it's at its peak. It's never been better in terms of the way, we've invested in it in India right now. We have an employee base of 42,000 people, of the 200,000 in the group. Um, some, of course, are part of the bank, which are close to 4,000. But then we have an asset management company, we have an insurance JV, and we run a very, very large capability center and a global technology center in the country. So, I think it always starts with people first. And therefore, I think this is the most important statement that the franchise could have done by really investing in the right set of people for a market as important as India. We see a lot of our customers follow that path as well. Many of them, if they are not already organically present in India for their businesses, they are looking at capability centers. And I was speaking with Captain as well, because, likewise for Latvia and a couple of other regions, you do see nearshoring happening from Europe into those countries. But very clearly, for anything STEM related, we do see India being, a very, very strong partner for Europe. Um, I think the other aspect I'd say for HSBC in India really is that we bring in the entire suite of products, whether it's retail, wealth, private bank, and a host of wholesale banking products. And we do this across the network, which means that we try to keep your experience as standardized when you are in Europe versus when you are in India, with a lot of focus on digitization as well as automation. So that's really been part of our strength and our story. And, you know, we like to really partner then for a longer term when you've entered into the country. So therefore, we go by the size of parent group and not really your size in India, because I mean there are different life cycles. We are very fortunate to support MSME international companies and then right up to the conglomerates. So we actually cover the entire spectrum. So we have a very unique positioning to see life cycles kind of span out, whether it's anchor led. So therefore, we also do something like distribution finance in India, which is rather unusual for a lot of foreign banks as well. I can also say that we've invested close to more than $1 billion in the country in the last 15 months. So we acquired L&T Mutual Fund, which was an asset management acquisition. So, if you take a couple of these different standpoints, it just shows you how important we are in terms of being an investment destination for the group. And we exist for the network, which means we support Indian companies going to EU or other international destinations. And of course, a lot of our multinational companies from these countries coming into India as well. So we are at a very interesting cusp, and we love what we do. We love our network, and very happy to be here as well. Over to you, Robin.
Truly, if I have to summarize what my understanding of Mansi says, that um, the world's most global bank is so local. 40,000 of their 2 lakh employees are in India. Can't believe it. Thank you. Thank you. And she also said, what I have understood, yeah, we all they deserve it. They deserve it. And, and he has said there have never been a better relationship of HSBC with India as it is today. Such a wonderful learning. I never knew that. And 40,000 of 200,000, that's a large number. Now I move to Venkatesh, Wärtsilä, Finland. Very famous person he is. When I was discussing with Venkatesh, he said, you know what? We have an initiative called DESI, DESI. Oh, wow. A Finnish company with a DESI initiative. So, Venkatesh, explain this DESI and its importance to us, India here.
Thank you, Robin, for the very good connect which you made also with Desi, which when I said to you, yeah, it's a very Indian connect also. How do you then take it into that perspective? So maybe a small take. I will first connect the chamber also. EU chamber and the Finnish chamber are very connected and complementing each other. And there in the chamber, we discussed also what could we also bring up as India dimension. And that's where this DESI came into picture, and many of our European companies actually are following DESI as a principle. So we can complement each other and bring up that. So what does this DESI mean? D stands for digitalization, E is for education, S is for sustainability, environment, whatever you want to call it as, I is for innovation. So almost all of us in this room can connect to this DESI. And DESI, when you say to any Indian bureaucrats or companies around, can easily make a connect. So we are not far away somewhere in Europe or another continent. We are part of India. That's the first connect which we want to bring up as. So this strategic framework actually is bringing up more closer to India than being far away somewhere. And that we should utilize and complement to bring up our directions. One of the important dimension which I want to then bring up on the Desi part also is that Wärtsilä, company which I represent, is into energy and marine sectors. We are a 190-year young company. And there also we are looking at the energy transition as a journey. And that's also a common denominator for all of us in this room. In the 1990s, when almost all of our industries faced energy crisis, we were there to support with our engine technology, which used to come live within a few seconds and then support our manufacturing requirements. Fast forward to 2020, 2030, government has put up an ambitious target of going towards 500 plus gigawatts of non-fossil fuel energy sources. It's a marathon task to reach to that level, and government is putting a lot of efforts to get in there. And there, most of us, European companies, have a major role to play. Energy management system and energy security are two important dimensions which we will have to look at. And then the other dimension is about also the marine sector, the shipping and logistics. We have 7,500 kilometers of coastline and even more than that. And if you think about other countries where they have a coastline, how they develop that, we have a lot to do. At least in the recent budgets and also the focus which has come in, that has put up also on the top priority. So with energy and marine as two cornerstones, there will be needed a lot of support which we will have to look at. And if we are adding renewables into the market, into the country, we need to also balance that with proper solutions. So when the sun is not shining, it will just go away in a few seconds. How would we manage? Or if the wind is not blowing, how would we manage? So there could be 6 to 8 hours of natural wind and solar which will help us, but we have to manage the remaining 16 to 18 hours. How we will manage that is an important perspective. And we as European countries have managed that in our countries also. So those modeling and those exercises which we have done are also an important asset towards India and supporting that. India needs a lot of support on R&D and innovation. So that is also an area where we can contribute towards and bring up that. In the journey towards renewables and energy transition, we need to look at when we are adding renewables, we need to add also the balancing equipment and then also look at more sustainable fuels as I mentioned. And then once these are available, we can start phasing out fossil and then go towards that. So in a bigger perspective, India has an ambitious target to reach the net zero towards 2070. Many of our countries are looking at that target towards 2035, 2040. For example, Finland has an ambitious target of 2035. And we as a company are looking at set for 30 towards 2030 dimensions. And most of you here in this room also have your global companies supporting that, or also the Indian ones, which I hear also have a target towards 2030, 40, somewhere around that. So in order to bring up these, we have to work together and create some framework, and that is where DESI would play an important role, and digitalization is a key strength for us, together with other aspects of education, sustainability, and innovation. That's where I would start with, Robert.
Venkatesh, wonderful. Fact that, of course, everyone is clapping. It only means that we loved what you said. Desi being indigenous, Yovel and David, it means indigenous. And what Venkatesh is saying that perhaps you are all aware, the government has put a target of 500 gigawatt of energy to be generated from now to 2030, which will need $500 billion of investment. Wind doesn't blow all the time, sun doesn't shine all the time. And what shall I saying? We shall provide you with a solution. Thank you, Venkatesh. We need that. Over to David. David Stevenson, Guala Closures. This company is operating in more than 100 countries. I was asking David, how do you manage it? How do you manage 100 countries? But now that you are managing in India, there must be some advantages and challenges which you face in India. Would be lovely to know that what those challenges and advantages are.
Thanks, Robin. Look, we're actually what we call a pocket multinational. We're in 100 countries, but in fact we have quite a small presence in most countries. We're Italian headquartered, but we've been here in India for 27 years. We started our first manufacturing business with 6 people in Goa. We now have 500 people working in a factory in Goa. We have 200 or 300 in Ahmedabad in Gujarat. We have a factory in Daman and also in Karnataka. So we started with 6 people, and I think we've grown over the years to a much smaller number than yours, about 1,400. We love India. We've been very, very fortunate to be here at a very, very early stage. The advantages for us, number one, particularly if we're comparing our European to our Indian situation, is demographics. Demographic journey in India is extraordinary. And, I sit on meetings with the European counterparts and listen to their woes because, frankly, they're not making enough babies. Don't quote me on that, right? And here in India, we have a fantastic demographic growth journey, and it's leading to another trend, which is really exciting for us, which is what we call premiumization. So I think in 2030, it's going to be 175 million wealthy households. Excuse me, thank you. That's much better. Which represents a fantastic opportunity. I think it'll make India one of the largest markets, consumer markets in the world. Another trend happening, which is really interesting for us, is what we call premiumization in the affluence. So we're seeing stronger demand at the very, very top end of the market for premium world-class products, very high price paying capability. That presents 2 opportunities. Firstly, for us to localize European world-class products, produce them here. And of course, also, it presents another opportunity going the other way, because once we start producing products of that quality, targeting the premium segment, that positions us very, very well to service European markets. Number one. Number two, I think India has a fantastic political and geopolitical stance. It's a strong, sound, stable political country, and increasingly seen by us as geopolitically neutral and a very, very viable supply chain alternative compared to other countries. I turned the clock back 5 years ago. I think India's stance in the world has really, really stepped up. So it makes us a fantastic, presents us a great opportunity to export. I think 5 years ago, brand India for the products we make, if we were exporting a product from India to another country, I think the receiving country would think, oh, it's from India. It can't be good quality. Look, honestly, just in the last 4 or 5 years, the image of India and brand India and the association with not just low-priced products, but actually associated with premium, world-class products. In our segment, clearly in other spaces, we've seen that already. So these are some of the key advantages. Some of the challenges. They're only challenges, they're not disadvantages. I think as a manufacturer, if you're manufacturing in more than one state, the different regulatory requirements, different language requirements, it's an added level of complexity. It's a challenge, it's not a problem. Clearly, import tariffs are an issue. For our products, if we want to bring them in, I think we pay around 15-20%. So that very much reinforces localization. And lastly, I'm based in Goa. So every time I want to travel somewhere internationally, I've got to take 2 flights because I've got to go to Mumbai or somewhere else and then hop. So we look forward to improving infrastructure, improving energy infrastructure, but we feel very, very blessed to be a part of your fantastic country and economy. Thank you.
What David said, one sentence, I just picked up from there that India, he's looking for premiumization. Just imagine we were the poor country and now we're the premium market. And such a small company, whereas from 6 people now you're at 1,400. My goodness gracious, the growth is fantastic. And the advantage which you said are all music to the ears. Thank you so much. People like you, it does make a difference to this country and to the EU-India relationship. Evo, press 2. As I said, I'm your customer. I love the product, the way you service. And you are an entrepreneur, have come to India. We would like to hear how you make it in India. And over to you, Evo.
Thank you, Robin. I actually came twice to India. Once,
Evo, if you don't mind, by the way, Presto, as you know, is a very famous laundry and dry cleaning company. And that's why I was saying I'm using it. Presto, you must have all heard. And that's the company Evo owns. Sorry, Evo.
thank you, thank you. So actually, I came twice to India. Once in 97 for a big financial group called ING to start a life insurance business here. So there you come under the wings of a company which has certain comfort. Then, to cut a long story short, we came back in 2000. When did we come back? We came back in 2008, 2007, when I left ING and was working in Mexico to see what we would do next, my wife and myself. We don't have children, so in that sense we are fairly agile. And there were all kind of opportunities. Could go back to Netherlands, we could go here, we could go there. But when we were in Mexico, we saw this concept of, say, quality dry cleaning. And we lived bang in the middle of Mexico City. And my wife was exploring kind of this concept. And then based on our experience in India, we said, no, we have to go back and set this up. And at that time, also India, in a way, was booming in those years. I don't know why exactly, but it was a very optimistic period in this. So we were also looking at each other and said, what are we doing in Mexico? We need to go back to India. So then I made a trip in 2006, and it was like I never had been away, because people were so welcoming, and it was almost like, oh, nice to see you again. Oh, were you in Mexico? Oh, doesn't matter, you are here now. So the welcoming effect of coming back to India, to Mumbai, we lived before in Bangalore and in Delhi, was by itself fantastic, and we found a very good Indian partner. And that is the way we started the business. And we were maybe a little bit ahead of the curve at that time, because we really had to explain what we actually did. That is also the reason why our stores are completely transparent, and we do the work in the store itself. So we are fairly decentralized to give people the comfort that we treat their items well. And that has worked quite well. It has taken quite a lot of investments, you can understand. And what we see after the pandemic is that the appreciation of quality, the understanding of quality, has not taken leaps and bounds. Together with that, people are more affluent and also prepared to actually spend more today than save for tomorrow, no? Because you don't know anymore what's going to happen tomorrow. So we see quite a sea change in customer behavior. And our kind of statement is that we are quality first, then convenience, and then price. Is it the bottom of those three? And it also comes at the price. And we also try to make people understand why it comes at the price. On sustainability, we don't use any plastic in our stores in packing material. And we were the first who moved to cornstarch. So if you pack with cornstarch, that is about twice the price. So we were prepared to do that. All our equipment is top quality. It is partly also, or mostly imported from Europe. And so with what David said about the premiumization and the increasing affluence, no, there is a beautiful road ahead for Presto. We are now in 5 cities, so Bangalore, Mumbai, and Delhi actually. So that will obviously increase, and we got it right now. So we also have enough capability to invest. We are actually talking to your bank. So that it looks good. So all is actually well. Um, and if people ask me why are you in India, because no, the perception of India is still fairly limited. Let me put it that way. Let's say there's only one word, and that is the people in India. That is the best there is. And so let me stop here. Yeah, people are fantastic.
People are the best. Thank you, Yogo. We hope we can continue to have your support and your confidence. So now that each one of us over here has spoken about what they believe are the key issues, which questions that we have asked, I would now like, ladies and gentlemen, to do a round table over here about if you have to speak about two key issues, two top issues, which you believe will help enhance European Union and India business. What are those two top thoughts you have got? I'll start right from there, Jay, and then Venkatesh also. What are your two top thoughts? How do we enhance EU-India business? Ladies and gentlemen, whatever is coming out of today's suggestion, we are going to make a booklet, give it to the powers that be, and try to take it forward and make something out of it, so that we are not wasting our evening today. Go ahead.
Thank you. If, in my opinion, if I consider two main, I can say, points to enhance EU and India business cooperation, first I would like to select clean and green energy. Okay, and clean and green energy. Okay, and that trade, and but also technology sharing, and if you include the talent, okay, exchange of talents also is a good topic would be. So that's first topic. And second, I would like to address here the barriers. We talk of many times the barriers because from EU side we see that they foresee that India has a lot of barriers. Okay, and being Indian also we perceive okay some barriers there. So it should have some addressal mechanism, time frame, because it's always go through the negotiations. So I pick up 2 points. One, definitely it is very pertinent regarding the clean and green energy, okay, trade. Second one is the more I can say it is for I can say which can be eradicated through the negotiations. It is called the barriers removal. That's the two things.
So, Raj, I want to just ask a question. Where you say barriers. Can you explain one example of a barrier and perhaps what we could have done or what we should do?
Absolutely. Like if you consider like it barriers for us, like in India, if you see our FDI rules saying that technology transfer, okay, many rules you see that it's entailing that you can do investment when you are transferring the technology, okay. So many times it consider in a position it is the barrier, okay. But how you are addressing this, okay, that's also it's one kind of collaboration and mutual negotiations. Secondly, if you have sanitary, phytosanitary topics, also it is there. And sometimes other side looking that we are very protected economy. Okay. So how we are addressing and saying that, hey, we are in the path, we have common view, okay, and we can sit across and eradicate all the, I can say, differences what we have.
Wonderful. Raj is saying very clearly there are some barriers, but we'll be very happy if it is discussed and sorted.
Absolutely.
Venkatesh, what are those two things you believe European Union India trade can enhance?
Yeah, very, recently, in the recent budget announcements also, you would have noticed focus areas which has come in. If you would have noticed the focus areas, two of the focus areas were touched upon very closely towards the end of the part. That we can easily, all of us can connect very well. R&D and innovation, which is very important. Most of us, our companies as well as our countries where EU we are representing from, spend a lot of efforts on R&D and innovation. High amount, close to 2 to 3% of our profitability goes into that type of activities. That helps actually also to build up the industry academia connect and also brings up more brains to contribute towards that. That's an area where, we need to focus on. At least it has been now spelled out, but we need to work more on that. That's an area where you can really contribute very well. And already my co-panelist mentioned about the clean energy, but I would just expand it as newer technologies. Newer technologies is also mostly, coming from most developed countries and EU, US, Australia. Those countries have that type of an approach where most of the new technologies come in. So in many cases, we don't have to start from scratch. We can already start from a level where we have an advantage and can continue building upon that. And that's an important asset which we can contribute there. Examples, quantum computing, for example, that's a very great potential which is there. And today, for example, Finland provides a lot of support. There is, for example, I don't know if you all know, Tech Mahindra from India has gone to Finland to set up a innovation lab there to promote that. There is an IQM computing of Finland, which is then supporting India together with IITs, bringing up that technologies more faster towards us. So this type of engagements will bring us faster. 5G, 6G, development happens there. Nokia, maybe you all know as a phone maker in 90s, but now they are not any more phone makers. They are into networks and distribution, transmission of that electronic technology. So that is where, the connect of EU towards India can bring a lot of value and benefit. And there we have to be more stronger. And again, we need to find different models, working groups with universities, academia, industry connect, and also with governmental ministries and their associations, So that's an area importantly. And to connect that, we need to also, look at another area which was talked about, manpower, skilling, and also competence development. Many of our EU countries, if any of you have lived there also, I had an opportunity to be spending 10 years there, their curriculum is actually industry orientated already. So they go through industry orientation, they go through work experience already when they are learning. That's an important area which we have to stress upon, and this budget again has touched that importance also. And many of our companies now, we should help in building up that also. That will make our 20 to 30-year-olds the biggest asset of India. Going forward, we have that as the biggest group. That would be already ready for industry when they are coming out. So these two, with a connect of competence and labor arbitrage, I would put as a contributor for us towards building up more relations, bigger relations between EU and India. Thank you.
Technology and people. Wonderful, wonderful. And skilling, of course. Great ideas. Ivo, over to you. What are those things, two things?
Well, what would help our business kind of directly is import duties. So then there is, I would say, the judiciary or the whole legal system, including labor laws, all that needs to improve. Everybody also knows that. In our business, what I just was trying to think about your question, hearing what I've been hearing, is we think it's important in our industry that there is some sort of level playing field, because everybody plays by a different book, because there's no enforcement of any standards which are there. And the way you can no circumvent is extensive, and we are in a very informal sector. There are only very few organized players. So what we sometimes see and what is claimed by others is so far from the truth. The way they operate is according to very different standards, and you have your way to do that. So I think that's important, that our industry has a level playing field. And otherwise, I think actually things, of course, like education and health are kind of critical. We hire people from far and wide in villages, and we are always proud, because then we train them very, very kind of professionally so that they really know their job. We want to make sure that the people who have a certain task are fully capable to execute that task, instead of just being thrown at something and say, now you have to do it. Because people need to work within their capabilities. And we also are particular about looking after families. We are quick in giving no short-term loans and facilities. Because you need to be good at home to be good at work. And the circumstances for, say, middle-level income, those circumstances are terrible. So we are very concerned, or I'm personally sometimes also concerned, how can you still be so optimistic, look so good after hour and a half train trip up and down every day? And that's a bloody fight. Now, the other thing which comes to my mind, and what I often say, that Mumbai has nothing to do with India. No? And the markets we operate in has something to do with 10% of India. So what about not 90%, but there are a few 100 million people in India who have a destitute life. And that it doesn't worry me every day, of course, but how can that continue is a question.
Valid comments, but one issue I think which is troubling is the import duty. Is something perhaps we.
Yeah, but that's very simplistic in a way, no? So. Yeah.
Yeah. We need
and the hassle not to get something imported. So we import leather, no? So we need to prove that it doesn't come from some Central Africa. No, it's bizarre. So those are in a way, operating this business now for 15 years. We know what's coming, so we can prepare for it and then subsequently handle it. So that's not an issue in the end.
Thank you. You are perhaps the only organized sector I understand in this sector. Wonderful, super job you guys are doing. Wonder how you do it. Mansi, over to you. The world's global banks.
I think they've covered a lot of really, really material points. If I were to just think through on really what would move the needle, one is really understanding the depth of the India opportunity. Because I think EU is, I think, a lot more predictable because, they've been there with their structure for so long for India to understand. And of course, sustainability, CBAM, a couple of things are evolving for them. But if you take the flip side for India, I think Salesforce, which is a San Francisco-based company, had their conference this week, and their global CEO made a comment which said that the world is moving into an India era. So as soon as you kind of hear that, and then you put the context in terms of where is the demographic dividend coming in, where is the premiumization coming in, where is the growth By 2030, if you expect 30% of the working population of the world to be based in India, then a lot of eyes are going to be here. And I think India is definitely going to be a lot more relevant in terms of an opportunity. We obviously know that we're gunning for the 5 trillion or the 7 trillion, whether it happens in 2030 or otherwise. Exports are going to grow at least twofold, whether it's service exports or physical exports. It's not perfect, and I do hear a lot of aspects which can be better. But I think for someone from Europe to understand the diversity of India and the opportunity, it's not a homogeneous country. It's almost like Eurozone, where you mentioned the language changes, across the 3 locations that you are in. So those are realities. I think it's great when you have exchange, when you have more people, there is trade, there's market access. You'd be able to understand really what takes. I love the word optimism that you used, because it's definitely a phase. Sometimes we believe that we are over optimistic, but it's clearly there, as in there is a momentum, and it's a very real momentum that each one of us feel in our businesses, and we see it both ways. We see it in India going international, slowly but steady, and we of course see it in the fact that the domestic market is growing, and increasingly, with all of the challenges, we still want to grow as a manufacturing unit. Some of our, whether it's policy, the regulation, we're trying to keep up. So therefore, I guess, the skilling aspects, the exchange on policy, whether it's data privacy, etc., there's so much more that can be enablers. A lot to do, plates full, but I guess with the level of optimism, I think that exchange between EU and India is going to be really the chemistry which needs to work. And I think given this opportunity, there is an impetus for both sides, and therefore we see people coming back to the FTA table, right? It was shelved for some time, and everyone's come back onto the table. I guess it's also the fact that it's close enough for them to touch and feel the opportunity. So I'd probably say that.
Mansi, we love your optimism. HSBC is optimistic on India. We are all happy about it. Thank you. David, over to you.
End of the line. So my fellow panelists have already shared pretty much all of the fantastic opportunities that I think are there for us. I'll probably cycle all the way back to sustainability and the opportunity between India and Europe to partner on climate change, renewable energy. Sustainability is something that economies like India are very focused on now, and Europe has been for a very long period of time. Sustainability makes sense for us all. It reduces waste. It helps us do more with the limited resources we have. If we look at the opportunity in India, we do have an energy infrastructure issue. So sustainability ticks that quite nicely to the extent we use wind power or solar, and the government has a very favourable support of some of those technologies. So I think fostering a partnership on climate, aligning on sustainability, which is almost a globally shared focus, is a really exciting opportunity for us here in India and also in Europe. So I
love your optimism again. Sustainability, of course, I think all of you are talking about. That's something which we have to keep working between the two regions. Time is almost now 9, a minute or 2 left. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be my last one sentence. I want you all to say what you want from the Council of EU Chamber. What's your ask from the Council of EU Chamber? You all are members. What is it that we should do for you? Or what is it that you think we should do? Go ahead, Raj.
Yeah, because
one sentence or 2 maybe.
Chamber's role is very, I can say, productive to enhancing the business between EU and India. So I would like to have more engaged. Okay. Enhance.
More engagement.
Yeah, more engaging.
Wonderful. Venkatesh, what do you want EU Chamber to do for you?
So, you asked us to summarize in one sentence. So I made a sentence which is long enough, So now you have to hear that, So, yeah, again, as we all discussed, strengthen the mutual engagement, Again, through specialized working groups and dialogues, very important, otherwise we will not reach to a conclusion. Enhance market access, particularly through SMEs, very important. We need to use SMEs in India to benefit from us. Addressing existing trade barriers, which was Raj mentioning, and also seeking alignment to international standards and best practices. There we have to be very careful. We cannot put our own standards and jeopardize that, and easing up of improving relationship. We need to be very comfortable, simple enough to enable this cooperation and mutual strength. Thank you.
Wonderful. If I have to come in 2 words, you want EU Chamber to enhance ease of doing business between the two regions. And we would love to take that sentence of yours and try to make use of it. You're well.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about something which is not too structured and kind of focused on some sort of events. And where people who are really interested in India, for example, come on some certain trips where they can get kind of a crash course in what are the dynamics or what are the challenges if you step into India. And the reference I have is that the Dutch, there are some tourist groups, or groups of people who travel to India, and it's a combination of leisure and business. So it's often entrepreneurs, mostly entrepreneurs, who then have a good time in India. They go here, there, everywhere. They visit some factories, and they have very meaningful interactions with Indian entrepreneurs. And I asked one of them, who is a very successful entrepreneur in the Netherlands, sold his business and all that. And I asked him, why did you come on this trip? He said, I'm never going to do business here because my priorities are different. I came here to understand scale. And I thought that was a fantastic kind of answer and also a reason to come to India to understand scale. I come from the Netherlands. Hello, 17 million people.
Right. Great. A lot of things to be done. Mansi?
I think very similar, view there. We actually tied up with the Indian School of Business in HSBC to invite almost 30 of our senior bankers from across the globe to get a certification on doing business in India. Now, we could have done that virtually, we could have done that internally. We have a lot of subject matter experts, but we wanted this to be with a leading business school in a classroom session where they get to visit India, they get to kind of visit other cities within India, get to meet businesses. We're going to be repeating this program, and I think it's the first that we ever did, but we got a very, very strong feedback, especially from a lot of our European colleagues who visited us, because most of them, A, would never have visited us India before, or if they did, they visited when they were very young as backpackers or whatever, and that's not the real India, that's still India, but, not really the business side of India. I think moments like this, where you get both sides to visit each other and really have a touch and feel of their countries as well as the opportunity on business. I guess that's always a starting point, and that can be industry led, or it can be more thematic for country, whichever way you want to slice or dice it.
So both Ivo and Mansi were saying that business and pleasure, if something can be done to enhance that, that the win-win for both. Excellent.
One sentence. Oops, just used it. No, look, look, we have a really exciting potential to connect Europe and India by forging partnerships, focusing on leading technology, and sharing our alignment on sustainable industries. We have a potential to really shape the future of global commerce moving ahead.
music to my ears. I think all the panelists were so positive. They all belong to several countries of the European Union. Perhaps the majority of the trade of India belongs to them. These countries they belong to. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9:05. But would you like to ask the panel some questions? We have about, let's say, 10 minutes. 9:15, we thought we will close. But over to you. If anyone has a question before the drink. No one has questions for European Union? All wants to drink? Served first? Drink will not be started. The bar will not open another 10 minutes. Please go ahead. Please give the mic there, please. Then take a mic from here if you want. You can
I'm,
you can mention your name and company and then your question, please.
I'm, I'm Professor Khanna, retired from IIT Bombay, and now running my company. Now, when we talk about business, and especially I have lived in Germany and France and many places, what we see today, what is the biggest problem today? When European Union or European countries want to do business with us today, what we find is that there is a basic problem of cleanliness, orderliness, and the way you have to do meetings. Many of you use the word that we should have pleasure meetings, discussion, and then do something into that. So I'm just thinking, nobody, experts in the European Union told that we should do skill development in India to teach people not to do encroachment, not to crowd the road, not to produce more in terms of population and things. So these are some of the things which I think the European Council should try to uh, create such kind of meetings and other kind of things, that how business environment should be kept clean so that the people get attracted on the first side that, oh, this is a proper environment where we can start do the business. So that, to me, it is missing with all the green energies, top environments, and every kind of things. This is the basic thing which we see a lot of difference between when we go to a European country and when we come to any advanced city in India.
Anyone wants to answer that? We are talking about discipline, being more disciplined in nature. You want to go ahead?
Very important question, sir. You know also, uh, but I would say also there is a clear momentum which we can see already in India. We are also putting priority on these type of important element there, on a sustainable, clean environment, clean roads, clean cities. Two examples I will connect. Maybe we have lot of things to go. It's miles away where we are. But if you think about the infrastructure development and the highways development which we have done in the last 10 years and in the last 50 years, you can clearly see a development. Still, the last mile connectivity is a challenge, but still we have good highways built. That's a big step towards. So now a European colleague of us coming towards India, when he drives in these roads, this is India. This is incredible India. That's what we hear. It's not yet there. We should not be, just be daydreaming and go towards that. Last mile connectivity, all those challenges are there, but it's clear change there. Then if I take another towards, that's a macro thing, but a micro thing, if we think about, for example, Indore as a town. I don't know if any of you have visited recently Indore. That's a step change which they have brought in. Why can that not be repeated everywhere as small towns developing towards that? And each one of us can be contributing towards that. So, that's an area where we should, again, together work with governments, together work as industries, together as individuals, as associations. We should bring up that. And most of us know that are basic things which we should have to go towards the bigger perspective. So there I would leave it at maybe in.
One of the things I learned being in India is that every question can have 5 answers, and they are all true.
Well said. Any more questions? Any other observation questions? Okay, good. I think thank you, ladies and gentlemen. They're all satisfied with whatever we said. Thank you, because they know the clinking of the bar is the sound has started. The glasses are being polished and cleaned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure and honor to be with you. Thank you.